Hello, friends. So I know we're a couple days into February already, but this is a new moon. So the beginning of every lunar cycle with the new moon sees the seeds of potential being planted for the lunar cycle ahead. And so it's really good, whatever the date might be, even if it's not the exact beginning of a month or it's halfway through a month or whatever it might be. It's really good to, with the new moon, attune ourselves to this lunar cycle ahead. And with the culmination of the full moon 2 weeks after the new moon, so 2 weeks from the making of this video, today, February 4th. And this video is going to be a reading for every single sun sign, utilizing astrology as well as tarot. And let's begin. Oh, and to skip ahead to your section, in the About section of this video, there's a little timestamp. Go ahead and click that for your sun sign, and you can go ahead and go straight there. Alright, so without further ado, we have Aries. So your card. I feel like there's two cards for you. We have. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. We have both fortune and word. Let's go ahead and go by the. We have 5 of discs and we have um, the 10th trump card or fortune. So what I feel this means for you is because Mars is in Aries and it will continue to be so. Let's see, until about halfway through February. So about 10 days from this new moon. And because Uranus is also in Aries, this is a time of you're feeling pressure in a positive sense, but also somewhat in a challenging sense because of all this Capricorn energy going on. So you're feeling pressure, but you're feeling motivation too. And it can be challenging to balance these two. And it's good to keep in mind that ultimately, yes, the energies out there right now are telling you you have to figure everything out now. You must go ahead. You must launch the rocket. You must this and that. That it's good to ride off of that energy. It's good to get stuff done, but it's also good to keep in mind that this is just one part of your entire life, and you have so much other time to work with. And so that's what Saturn and Capricorn, that transit, as well as Venus that just went into Capricorn, and it'll be for the majority of this lunar cycle. It's going to be in Capricorn until March 1st when it'll be in Aquarius. But even then, that energy too has a sense of restraint. But Venus in Capricorn, where it is right now, and Saturn as well, especially Saturn, have a tremendous amount of restraint. So I feel like that's what Spirit, God, Universe, whatever, however you want to put it, is saying to you is don't worry about what you can't get done during this lunar cycle from February 4th until March 6th. Just do as much as you can. You're going to be incredibly fortunate. You have motivation on your side. Mars is in your sign. The entire world is striving right now. Or that's the vibe. The that is an energy that's happening. Whether everybody is going with it and striving with it, that remains to be seen. But for you as an Aries, this has been a wonderful time to crack into new gears and to move forward and faster and better and just 110 miles in any direction that you choose, whatever inspires you. So that's really exciting, and that's been going on since the beginning of the new year. So this new year has started off really powerfully, and again, it's good to keep in mind that Mars cycles work in 2 year cycles, and especially being that Mars rules your energy. As an Aries, this is really wise to think of your life in these terms. What have I accomplished these past 2 years? So before 2019, what did I accomplish in 2017, 2018? What do I wish to accomplish with the next 2 years? And keep that in mind. Look at the big picture. Don't look at just where you are right now. It's at no point in your life ever will that be an end all be all. It's more a question of how does this stepping stone connect to that stepping stone connect to that stepping stone, so enjoy the stepping stone that you're at. And interesting. And we're also getting a message of enjoy your friendships, and that makes a lot of sense. We have a lot of Aquarius energy going on, so connect with those around you. Have fun. That's what I feel the message is have fun and enjoy yourself, as well as be striving, working hard, and pushing forward. So that's what this lunar cycle has for you. All right, Taurus. Interesting. Very interesting. So Taurus, your cards are the Sun and Fortune, both trump cards. Interesting because Aries just came up for that. So if you have a lot of Aries energy as well as Taurus energy, you are very well set up for this lunar cycle, and that makes a lot of sense because as a Taurus, we have a lot of Earth energy going on right now. Venus just went into Capricorn, and being that Venus is your ruling planet and it's in an Earth sign, Capricorn is one of the three Earth energies along with Virgo and Taurus. That means that whatever Taurus energy that you have, and you have at least Sun in Taurus, this Venus energy will be trining your Sun over the course of this lunar cycle between February 4th and, well, actually, technically February, let's see, when did Venus go? Yeah, okay. So from the beginning of this lunar cycle with this new moon, February 4th, until March 1st when Venus goes into Aquarius. Not to say that Venus in Aquarius won't have benefits for you, but it's a little bit more of a challenging energy. I feel like that's part of what this month is about too, is seeing that we still have about 2 weeks of Aquarius energy, and that energy is square your natal Sun energy. So what that means is whenever we go through a transit, and we all go through it multiple times a year, in fact, two solar cycles a year, we go through an energy that is a little bit difficult for our sun signs. It's not necessarily bad. It's good to have challenges. It pushes us. But during the time of year of late January and then the first 3 weeks or so of February, that is one of your times when Sun is in Aquarius, and then when Sun is in Leo for July 20th, I think it's like 23rd to August 23rd. That's your other one. Long story short, this month is going to be seeing a lot of good business opportunities for you, being able to connect with others, being able to be stringent with your finances. That's really important, especially since this last month and with the new year, Venus was in Sagittarius, it was conjunct Jupiter, and again, Venus is your ruling planet. So wherever Venus is, that's kind of where you go. So you're spending a lot, you're enjoying a lot, and that's good. You need to have times when you enjoy your hard-earned cash and enjoying all the goodness that life has to offer. But there are other times when it's good to enjoy very little. Not to say that you're not enjoying as much, but it's good to enjoy with less. And so that is what this time is about. It's not so much having quantity, it's about quality. So it could still mean that you're buying, but being that Saturn is also in Capricorn, it's good to not overextend your finances, because this is a time where when Venus and Saturn conjunct, that's when usually a lot of bills come up for people all around the world. And of course, would you survive? Yes, but it's important to make sure that you don't fall into the category of Taurus that overexpends itself, and maybe it's because of laziness, which is understandable. There's no shame in any of these challenges, but it's good to keep in mind whether it's out of laziness or just buying too many things. You want to make sure you're prepared for about, let's see, about halfway through this month, especially the third week around the full moon. Especially, it would be good to avoid a really hectic full moon on the 19th of February for you. If so, keep in mind that last month, a lot of fun, a lot of expenses. This month, recuperating that, and if you also, oh, okay, that's really interesting. And part of that challenge of that Aquarius energy is to enjoy the more intangible. Enjoy, it's not so much having new things, it's more like connecting with loved ones, connecting with business partners, colleagues, co-workers, and enjoying their company, enjoying what you really can't buy, which is their thoughts, their perspectives, their feelings, and just getting to know each other. That's something that's really beneficial for this time for you. And see, one last message. Cool. One last thing. Mars goes into Taurus. It looks like on the 14th, so about 10 days from the making of this video. Valentine's Day. Oh, how cool. That's going to be a central Valentine's Day for you. Very exciting. I feel like, it's kind of ironic because the rest of the world with this new year has been in full gear. We have all this Aries energy going on. And that's not to say that you haven't been feeling that as well, because of course we're all feeling these same energies, especially if you have, say, Mars in Aries or Mars in a fire energy, then definitely you've been feeling this, Mars in Libra even. But when Mars goes into Taurus on the 14th and stays there for about a month and a half, and we'll cover that in the next new moon news, that's when you're really going to get going. So that's really good news. If you have overspent and overextended your resources, you're going to have a motivation factor tremendously to be able to work hard, to stay focused. It can be a little bit difficult to get started, but once you get started, you're on a roll. So that's something that's really good to keep in mind is February 14th. And if you're doing well with your finances, then you're just going to keep growing anyways. Either way, it's going to be really beneficial. Okay, Gemini. And by the way, I am a Gemini. But this will be about us, not myself. Interesting, very interesting. We have a lot of fire energy. Um, okay, okay. I feel like what Spirit has to offer is it's just reminding us that Jupiter's in Sagittarius, and for us Geminis throughout all of 2019, I think up until like December 2nd, 4th, or something like that, um, until Jupiter goes into Capricorn, this is a time, excuse me, of expanding our vision, expanding our knowledge, expanding our horizons, expanding our opportunities, expanding in every sense of the word. And for us, we love to expand intellectually. We love to expand our social circles, not necessarily in superficial ways. I know that some Geminis can definitely fall into that shadow category, but ultimately we just like communicating with individuals. We like to understand where people are coming from. We like to be understood and to craft ever evolving, I mean, at our best, anyways, ever evolving understanding of the world. And that's a really beautiful thing. That's part of why we are here. And so with Jupiter and Sagittarius, that's huge because this transit is a once every 12 years situation, once every 12 year cycle, and it lasts for about a year. And it's been there since November 8th of this last year. So we're a couple months in, but we're still in the kind of the baby stages of this. And I feel like what Spirit is saying is just keep going forward. Right now and for the next 2 weeks, we're in a kind of a high period of being a Gemini because we have all of this air energy to work with. We have Sun, Mercury, and the Moon all in Aquarius. And so Mercury will go into Pisces pretty relatively soon, on February 10th. And that's not to say that's a bad thing, especially if you have Mercury in Cancer or Mercury in Taurus. But even for those who have Mercury and Gemini like myself, there's still a lot of benefits to Mercury being in Pisces. There are always benefits to every transit, so that's good. It's never a case of, oh, fuck. But that being said, it is good to keep in mind that Sun does go into Pisces on the 18th. And these energies are beneficial, but they're a little bit more challenging than all this Aquarius energy. So I feel like what Spirit's saying for the next 2 weeks, especially since Mars is in a fire energy right now and it won't go into Taurus for another 10 days, is just work, be inspired, move forward, focus. That's the big thing. Focus on what you're passionate about, focus on what you're interested in, and focus on your communications. Make sure you talk to the people that you need to talk to more so than you want to talk to. It can be tempting to, I mean, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's good to talk with friends. It's good to communicate with those that you naturally like to communicate with. That's good. But Spirit is also saying branch out, get to know other individuals, push forward into new avenues of social expression, push forward into new ideas. And this is a really beautiful time to, I mean, really this whole year is a beautiful opportunity to expand our awareness and understanding, but especially for this lunar cycle, that's really beneficial. And okay, so then once all that shift happens, what message do we have then? So halfway through, okay. So basically, don't despair, as always. When this shift does occur about halfway through this lunar cycle, so we're looking at about around the full moon on the 18th when the sun goes into Pisces is a really good way to look at it. But also that preceding week, we got Mars going into Taurus, Mercury going into Pisces. So we're experiencing a lot of kind of a different shifting of energies. But I see why this is really beneficial because all of this fire and air that's out there right now is going to be shifting into earth and water energies. And that's beneficial for us because our sensitive nervous systems, it's good that energies, it's always good that no phase or transit lasts for forever because everybody around the world, it doesn't matter what sign you might be, we need to keep growing. We need to experience different things. Otherwise we get burnt out. And so push forward with the next 2 weeks, especially the next 10 days, but then enjoy as the cascading rapids of excitement and fun and, I mean, potentially, craziness mellows out into the smooth, tranquil river and enjoy being able to look into the river bottom and seeing what you couldn't see before. And of course, that's a metaphor for as this Pisces energy enters our lives, relax the mind, it'll naturally be relaxed, and it will focus on what we can see in the psyche and in the subconscious. And that also connects with, as Mercury goes retrograde, right the day before the next lunar cycle, new moon news, the next new moon news, we'll go ahead and cover that, and we'll explore that transit when the time comes. Okay, Cancer. Oh, that's interesting. Very good. I feel like. Hmm. Oh, okay. I feel like the message for you, my dear Cancer, is to push yourself, just as you've been pushing yourself with this first month. Don't drive yourself crazy with it though. This is a lot of Aries energy we're dealing with. We have Mars in Aries, we have Uranus in Aries. So it can be tempting to feel like you have to get everything done right now. And you must figure it out now, especially with the pressure of Saturn in Capricorn, a long term transit that we'll continue to explore over the course of this year. And also Venus in Capricorn too. Although the Venus energy is actually going to be really beneficial for you as a Cancer. That's going to be really nice. We'll cover that in a moment. But long story short, enjoy the inspiration. Enjoy, I know it sounds silly or maybe counterintuitive, but enjoy the pressure, because the pressure is actually motivating you. It's helping you to push forward as per your home life, as per your emotional connections to others, as per your imagination. And I feel like one of the biggest things to keep in mind is follow follow the inspiration that you're feeling. Keep growing, keep expanding. Don't shy away from the goodness that life has to offer you. Don't stick to the familiar and the comfortable at the expense of the novel and the new potentials. There's so much prosperity for you during this lunar cycle, especially being that Venus will be opposite at least your sun and whatever other Cancer energies that you have. And it'll come mainly in the form of females in your life, being that Venus is the feminine principle. Um, that Saturn in Capricorn is an interesting energy because that also can be a difficult. It can manifest in so many different ways for all the different Cancers out there. So, however it manifests, if you're feeling like over this course of this next lunar cycle, it's really tough. If you're feeling like you're having difficult relations in your romantic life or in your business life, then it's good to ask yourself important questions of, is this relationship, is this job best for me? Is there certain changes that I need to make in how I relate to others in my job or in my personal life? It's not to say that bad things will happen, but with Venus and Saturn conjunct and opposite your, at least your sun in Cancer, it is going to be a very heavy month as per your social relationships. And again, that is a good thing in many ways because you're able to see the reality of your relationships. You're able to see which ones are good, which ones are worth fostering, and which ones are really not good, and where is the love kind of dried out. And maybe it's a temporary thing, maybe it's a permanent thing. Honestly, with this kind of transit, it's a little bit more of a permanent energy. Um, but of course, it's important for you to. It's good to not cling. It's good to not get too attached. It's good to see where things are in reality, not as we'd like to imagine them. And what's really beautiful is as long as we foster that mentality, really, in any time, then we're able to have relationships across the board in our lives, personal, professional, etc., that soothe us, that nourish us, that allow us to be ourselves and to nurture and nourish others. So this isn't a bad thing at all. It's just, it can be a little bit heavy. Your relationships might be a little bit heavy, but the real ones will survive. And it's good to let go of anything that's not real. And again, one last thing is follow the inspiration. It's really important to follow the inspiration. There's so many good things that are there for you during this lunar cycle over the course of this entire year, but don't put things off. Get started right away. Yeah. In particular, with your professional life. I think what we were saying before will tie a little bit more with your professional life. Arre, Leo. Interesting, very interesting. So right now is kind of, it's hard. Okay, so a full moon is when the moon and the sun are on opposite sides of the earth, right? A full sun, I mean, that's what I like to call it anyways. I've never heard anybody else call it that. But a full sun is when the sun is opposite um, your natal sun. So your natal sun is in Leo. The sun right now is in Aquarius. It will be for the next 2 weeks, for the first 2 weeks of this lunar cycle. And especially since the new moon starts in Aquarius, you're in an interesting time because in some ways right now is the culmination of the last 6 years, the last 6 months of your life. And it's good at this time period to ask yourself, okay, what's working, what's not working, and in particular, what ideas, what thoughts, what perspectives, what beliefs do I have? Are are, are they helping me? Are they hurting me? And if you find that they're helping you, excellent. Keep going with that idea. If you find that they're hurting you or hampering you in some kind of way, then it's really important to change your mind. It's really important to do that during this time and to change whatever habits, whatever assumptions, whatever beliefs might be, especially if you have Mercury and Leo. And this is a really, again, this is why this is really interesting because to have a new moon in the middle of a cycle, in the middle of a sun cycle, for example, with Sun in Aquarius right now, you have a kind of a second shot here. So if things are going great, awesome. You can utilize this time to reflect, okay, what's been serving me, what ideas, what beliefs, etc., what thoughts, and how do I move forward? How do I use my ego and not be used by my ego and not getting too caught up in my ego and burnt out by myself? Okay, I'm going to keep going in that positive upward spiral direction. And if things have not been going so well, this is still a beautiful second shot for you. And you can go, okay, I need to change this. Then now is the time to be humble. Now is the time to utilize this Venus and Capricorn energy that's out there right now and just face the facts. What's working? What's not? Am I a bit of an asshole? Or am I a nice upper energy of Leo, warm-hearted, sweet lion, lioness, powerful but sweet and lovely and regal. Either way, utilize this time to change things for the better or to continue in the path of positive results, and you're going to have a really beautiful lunar cycle ahead. And the last message. Interesting. Yeah, about. So on the 14th of February, Mars will go into Taurus. This is an energy, ultimately it depends on the other energies in your chart, where it's your Mars energy in particular. But in general, as a Leo, this is going to be a time of putting, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Basically, working hard, staying motivated, staying dedicated, persevering. It's not going to be. You're going to get a lot done, but it's important to get started. That's really important to keep in mind. Whereas right now and until March 14th, until Valentine's Day, you'll feel, and that's great. It'll be a very sensual Valentine's Day for you. Between here and there, it'll be a lot easier to get things started, but it'll be hard to follow through. After February 14th, it'll be really easy to follow through, but really hard to get things started. So just trick yourself, do the fun stuff first, and then you're going to be on a roll, and you're good. Array, Virgo. Cool. Virgo, we're looking at a really nice month for you. I feel like why that's so is because Mercury, our ruling planet, I'm a Gemini, Virgos and Geminis are both ruled by Mercury. is in exaltation. It's in Aquarius. We're thinking, I mean, ultimately everybody around the world is thinking a lot more clearly right now, but we're thinking, especially being children of Mercury, very innovatively with an eye to the future and experimentation and seeking novel thoughts and understanding and being able to see how we fit into the giant clockwork of society, of the world, of the universe. And that's a really beautiful thing. It's great. It happens once a year whenever Mercury goes into Aquarius, and being that that's what's going on right now, plus the Aquarius and Sun and Moon Aquarius energy with this new moon, so it's really exciting. And for you, it's really nice too because Venus is in Capricorn. So it was in Sagittarius. There were definitely some pleasant things going on there, but this last month might have seen excess, or for some Virgos, it'll be excess of frugality. But it's more likely that it was more excess. Um, so with Venus going into Capricorn, this lunar cycle is going to be a really good time to get to know those around you, especially those in your professional setting. And you can craft some really incredible professional connections during this time. So it's important to get out of your comfort a little bit, your comfort zone, and to get to know different individuals and see what, if you're looking for a job especially, see how you could fit in to an organization or to be able to be of professional service in a really beneficial way. It's chances are you're going to find a really good place, and or it could see you getting promoted. It could see you just in general. There's so much potential with this lunar cycle for you professionally, so it's good to keep that in mind. And the other thing why I think this lunar cycle is going to be really beneficial for you is because we're seeing the sun move into Pisces, which is your opposite energy, and that sounds bad, but it's actually not. When the sun is in the region of space opposite where your natal sun was, so basically where the sun was when you were born, that's kind of like the full sun. And so this lunar cycle, the last half of it, from February 18th until March 20th, and we'll cover the other part of that in the next new moon news transit video. But for this lunar cycle until March 6th, this is a time where you're going to be seeing the culmination of everything you've been thinking, everything that you've been working on since your birthday of 2018. So this is a really exciting time, but it also can be a bit of a wake-up call if certain things just aren't clicking. It's good to not go, why me? It's good to more look at, okay, what seeds have I sown since my birthday last year that have created these circumstances? What do I need to change? How do I need to grow differently? How do I move forward? What do I need to perfect? And being that Mercury will also be in Pisces actually pretty early on in this lunar cycle from the 10th onwards, and being that Mercury will go retrograde the day before the end of this lunar cycle, this is going to be a great time to reflect inwardly, especially since Neptune is in Pisces as well. So this is a time of reflecting, seeking professional connections and or growth, and working really hard because Mars will go into Taurus February 14th on Valentine's Day. So that looks like a really nice sensual Valentine's Day for you. But it's good to keep in mind from February 14th onwards, once you get on a roll, once you get started on your path, you'll be unstoppable. Getting started is the hard part, so don't overthink it. But again, especially in the last part of this lunar cycle, it's good with all this Pisces energy to reflect on, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Is this helping me? That's important to keep in mind. Okay, Libra. Interesting. So this lunar cycle, as with every lunar cycle, there are positives and challenges. The first thing that Spirit is calling to mind is with Venus and Saturn in Capricorn, Venus being your ruling planet as a Libra, it's important to really inspect your relationships. Of course, in particular, your romantic relationship, but your relationships in general, and to see what's working, what's not, who are you connecting with, who are you able to call a friend? Who are you able to call a lover? Who do you just have you grown apart from? That's really important because during this time, especially with Mars and Uranus being in Aries, it can be tempting to get really angry and really frustrated with yourself or other people for why are we not connecting, when in actuality it's just maybe a temporary timing thing, or considering Saturn's finality, maybe you just have grown apart from that person, and that's okay. That happens. Not with every single relationship, but it happens with the relationships that just aren't meant to be for the long term. So for those relationships that you find it's important to just let go, just let them go. That's something that's really important to keep in mind. Not to say that every Libra will experience needing to let go of relationships during this time, but a lot will, or at the very least, the relationships will be tested. So not necessarily to let go completely, but to hammer out some difficulties, to try to understand where the other person's coming from, finding ways to relate, finding common ground. The beautiful news is, again, that which is real will persevere, and it'll be a really powerful connection. And especially for the first 2 weeks of this lunar cycle, this is really beneficial because the sun is in Aquarius. And so for us air signs, I'm a Gemini, whenever we have an air energy, whenever we're going through a transiting air energy, that's really beneficial for us. And especially when, well, not especially, but also when that air energy isn't our sun sign, that's still very beneficial. So this is a time, especially for the next 2 weeks, to communicate with others as much as possible. Seek to understand where they're coming from. Help them understand where you're coming from. And do your best to find ways to work through the misunderstanding. A lot of people, it's good to keep this in mind, a lot of people are going to be working a lot this month. Well, Mars will then go into Taurus, so then a lot of people won't be working as much. It's going to go to a major extreme. Some people will work even harder and put in overtime, and some people just go, yeah, I've worked hard over the beginning of this year. I'm just going to chill out now. So that's something else to keep in mind, is you don't want to get caught up in the Mars and Taurus challenge, which can be very tempting, being a Libra, because both those energies can tend to put off things, procrastinate, and there's no shame. We all have our challenges. It's all good. I'm not picking on you. But it's good to be honest and face the fact that, sometimes you can tend towards laziness. So during this time from February 14th onwards, you want to make sure that you get started on your projects right away, or you kind of ease into them slowly but surely, but you keep the you keep the motion moving forward, because otherwise it can be really tempting with this Mars and Taurus transit from February 14th, Valentine's Day onwards, which is great. It'll be a nice Valentine's Day. But from that onwards to kind of just go, I'm kind of burnt out. I'm just going to chill. Sometimes it's important to do that. Sometimes it's important to face our inner laziness and go, we can work a little bit harder. Let's push forward. So that's good to keep in mind. Last messages. Working with your friends on projects right now can be incredibly helpful. So whether that project is the friendship, whether it's something else that you are passionate about, that they are passionate about. Also, working with your coworkers and seeing them as friends, that can be extremely helpful during this time. And getting to know them as friends can be really beautiful. Alright, Scorpio. Okay, so this is a really exciting time. Mars is in Aries, and it will be until the 14th, and then Mars goes into Taurus, and that's even more, in some ways, exciting time for you, because then it'll be opposite at least your natal sun and whatever other Scorpio energies that you have, and that's really beneficial because that means the culmination of what you've been putting into motion for the last year since Mars was in Scorpio last. So this is a really exciting time for you. There's a lot of power, you can feel it, and especially right now at the making of this video, Mars is in Aries, is conjunct Uranus in Aries. Mars being one of your ruling planets along with Pluto, and Mars will be in Aries for about 10 days from the making of this video, till February 14th. So right now, it's funny because actually the Mars in Aries card came up. You're feeling the drive, push forward, move forward. Now, it's kind of a strange time because also we have the Sun, Mercury, and Moon in Aquarius energy. And the Moon will pass off into the next energies pretty quickly. But the Sun will be in Aquarius for the next 2 weeks until February 18th. Mercury will be there until February 10th. And as it goes into the Pisces energy, it's going to be a lot smoother. So that's what's interesting is the first 2 weeks of this lunar cycle, you're going to feel, basically until the full moon, around the 18th, the 19th, you're going to feel amped. It's like time to move forward. Then that which you are accomplishing right now, things will move forward even more so, but at a slower and steadier rate. And I know that the slower part might not be as sexy, but the steadier rate can be really nice because when Mars and actually Uranus go into Taurus, but we'll focus on Mars first. That is when you're going to be able to follow through on what you've gotten started with the beginning of this year. And of course, this is true for everybody, but for you in particular, you have an incredible opportunity here, being a Scorpio, to be able to reach incredible heights of just endurance. You'll even wonder yourself, like, how the hell am I still going? How are my energy levels still going? And of course, you want to make sure you don't burn yourself out. That's the Uranus combination with this Mars. You don't want to just be launching your energy into a direction that's not fulfilling you or fulfilling others. You want to be pushing forward in a positive direction, an upward spiral, growing as the Scorpio, growing from the Scorpion to the Eagle to the Phoenix, continuing to transform yourself, continuing to go through little deaths and rebirths every single moment, and pushing for a higher sense of consciousness, a higher sense of responsibility for yourself, for society, a higher sense of power, utilizing power for bringing out the best in yourself and bringing out the best in others, and feeling like you've truly made a difference with your life in really beneficial ways and enjoyed your life. That's all here. I mean, that's always there for you, but especially with this transit, you have a really incredible opportunity to do that. Now, on the shadow end, a lot of Scorpios are unfortunately going to be falling into more of the sex, drugs, rock and roll trap. And again, it's a fun trap, but at the end of the day, it depletes you. It's a sideline from the real challenge, the real growth, the samurai path of the Scorpio, which is self-discipline, mastery, and enjoyment of the fine things in life, such as the tea ceremony and the discipline and the power to wield your incredible gifts. So it's good to, with this Mars and Taurus energy, the big challenge here is getting started. It's kind of funny. Right now, and until February 14th, the challenge is following through, continuing onwards on what you begin. It's really easy to begin things right now. However, from February 14th onwards, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be really easy to follow through as long as you get started, though. It's really challenging to get things started after February 14th. So power forward and just do as much as you can right now and be inspired. And when February 14th onwards comes, focus on what you have to get done and follow through. That's the key. Stay focused. Stay focused. If you lose focus, you could waste a lot of energy, and it would be fun in the temporary, but in the long term, there's so much for you to gain during this lunar cycle. Especially since the Sun and the Mercury energy will be going into Pisces during this lunar cycle. Mercury on the 10th and the Sun on the 18th. And that is a really beautiful aid to you, because that Pisces energy is also water. It's feeding you. It's giving you energy. It's giving you the ability to communicate right now and for the first 10 days or so, until the 10th, basically. It can be a little bit difficult to communicate. You can learn a lot, but it'll be through miscommunications. It'll be through stumbling. It can be a little bit frustrating. But when Mercury goes into Pisces, it'll be like, oh, finally, okay, cool. Even if you have Mercury in Libra or Mercury in Sagittarius that really enjoy this Mercury and Aquarius energy, when Mercury goes into Pisces, your Sun energy will just naturally go, oh, okay, this is what I'm trying to fucking say. This is how I feel. This is, okay. And you can also notice other people as well. Oh, this is what you're feeling? Oh, okay. Your senses are going to be heightened. So that's something to look forward to. And last message. That's interesting. The last message is be receptive. That makes sense. Venus is in Capricorn and Earth energy. I don't really see astrologically why. I mean, not to say that there's anything going against this, but The divine message is what it is, so it is what it is. So be receptive, wait for the right time to act, wait for the right time to strike. Okay? Key. Sagittarius. Without even pulling any cards, I can already say this is an exciting year for you because Jupiter's in Sagittarius, and man, it's really, there are so many doors open for you, and really that's the challenge, and that's a good challenge to have. And the challenge is choosing. Okay, I have 4 different opportunities in front of me. I feel like there's going to be even fucking more that arise, and that's beautiful. But which one do I choose? Choose. Oh, that's interesting. We have a really interesting. So here's the choice. We have the fire energy and we have the water energy, and they're both the king. And that's not to be all patriarchal. It's just representing the masculine principle that we all have, whether male or female, within us, and of course all masculine energy. All males have the feminine energy as well. It's important to balance these things. And so this is saying, Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, cool. So I feel like it's not saying that there's so much you have to choose between two. How do I put this? I feel like what it's saying is to balance. Take note of what excites you. Take note of what inspires you. Take note of what ignites you. And keep that in mind when making your choice of which prosperity path to go down. But also listen to your inner self. Listen to the deeper feelings. The feelings that don't just flame and flicker and they're here and then they're there. And listen to the inner wake, the inner ocean. Sink to the bottom of the waters, past the surface that's constantly roiling, and go really deep within to your subconscious and understand, what do you need? It's not about what you want. What do you need? This I was going to say this year, but interestingly, I'm hearing life. So as a Sagittarius, I feel like this is very true for you. Abundance. Ultimately, of course, everybody can experience abundance, but as a Sagittarius, you naturally can attract abundance as long as you're living in moderation. It's something that's a beautiful gift as a Sagittarius. Again, everybody can access that energy, but for you, it's a lot more natural than for other people. It's essential during this year to plant seeds that are going to grow for you in really beautiful, positive directions. You don't want to plant seeds that are going to give you what you want, but not what you need. You have 4 different opportunities in front of you, but face it, you really only need one of those doors. And when you choose one of those doors, I don't wish to generalize and say that in every case those other doors will close, but that's the thing about time. We have to choose. We can't do 10 different jobs. We can't have 10 different relationships. We can't, I mean, not for long anyways. Eventually we have to go, okay, this is the path that's calling to me the most. It's the most exciting, and it's the one that feels the best to my gut. It's the one that makes me feel like I'm going to get what I need, and I feel safe, and I feel secure, and I feel nourished by this opportunity, this connection, this job, etc. So that's really good to keep in mind throughout this entire year, but especially with right now, especially since we have, for the first part of this lunar cycle, a lot of air and fire energy, and it's shifting into water and earth. That's when you've been on a hot streak since the beginning of this year, because Mars was in Aries, and of course Jupiter is in Sagittarius. Jupiter will continue to be in Sagittarius, but Mars is shifting now into an earth energy. And so it's saying basically to you, all right, choose, figure out which direction you want to go, because you've explored a lot of different things with the first part of this year, and that's okay. That was the time for that. You needed to experiment. You needed to see what was out there. You need to have different conversations with different individuals to understand different insights, to figure out how to move forward on your path. But now is the time to choose a path and stick with it. And yes, every path will be difficult in some senses, in some ways. So just because you experience some difficulty, not saying that you will, but with Mars going into Taurus and all this Pisces energy coming up, there is going to be a bit of a challenge that you're going to go, well, shit, that was like January, or at least late January and early February. It was a lot smoother. It was a lot easier. But those challenges are going to help you. It's going to prove to you which path is truly worth your while. And you can gain so much if you just stick through those difficult paths, as long as you feel that path is meant for you. So listen to your heart, listen to your soul and that really deep part of you, and let go of what you don't need, focus on what you do need, and you will have so much abundance. And in any time, but especially during this lunar cycle and especially during this year. And the last message is don't overthink it. Let your spirit guide you. And especially from February 10th onwards, when Mercury goes into Pisces and then the Sun goes into Pisces February 18th, let your emotions guide you forward. Not just the, fire emotions, but the deeper water emotions. Listening to your dreams could be really helpful. Reflecting on them, writing down in a dream journal could be really helpful. All right, Capricorn. So, you're going through a very formative transit. It's a transit that happens for about 2.5 years, once every 29 years or so. And that is Saturn going through Capricorn. Saturn is your ruling planet. Saturn being in Capricorn means this energy is indignity. It means that it functions very powerfully, very smoothly. Very smoothly is the key word. I mean, every energy can be powerful. But this is a really wonderful time. You've already been living through this for the past year of 2018. And for all of 2019 and for the first half of 2020, Saturn will be in Capricorn. So this is you're on a mountain, and as a Capricorn, you were born at the foot of a mountain, and just go, okay, gotta climb up this fucking mountain. Well, that's what's beautiful. Sometimes it get frustrating because you see other types, like say Sagittarius, soar past on a rocket, and it's like, what the fuck? Where was that? But then you see as you continue to transcend the path over the years, you see that same rocket, unless it's a really very smart Sagittarius, and eventually they're gonna have to do their own climbing. So even with that rocket soars, and then it either crashes, which is really unfortunate, really sad, and all right, reset, time to go on the ride for a new life, or it chills out, and then that person finds himself at a mountain. So ultimately, we're all climbing mountains, but you have the understanding as a Capricorn from a very young age, more so really than any other type, except for maybe Aquarius, but even then they experience it slightly differently. That same need for discipline, that same need for structure, that same need for persevering and dedication. This is a tough time. Saturn being conjunct your Sun is difficult, but it has so much to offer you too, especially since you're a Capricorn and Saturn rules Capricorn. This is a time of being able to build solidly, to grow slowly but surely, and to create and to accomplish enduring accomplishments. This is a really beautiful opportunity for you. So Venus just went into Capricorn. On a lighter note, although it still has a little bit of heaviness because Saturn is there, this can be really good for love relationships. It can be really good for just enjoying yourself with those around you, especially friends. And that's really important to keep in mind during especially times like this where you're feeling that pressure. It's like, okay, professionally I have to figure my shit out. Okay, I have to move forward. I got to figure this out. It's nice to also have that balance. That's something we all need, but especially the Capricorn, sometimes you can lack because you focus on your job so much and you feel that pressure so much, especially with Saturn, that this Venus energy can feel a little bit frivolous. No, you need time to relax. You need time to play. You need time to be with your friends, with your loved ones also, and to go on dates and to see what that love thing is all about. So that's the good news. I won't say it's necessarily bad news, but the heavy part of this is your relationships in general will become tested. Some Capricorns who are working far too much will experience Venus and Saturn and Cap, that both of these transiting energies as, okay, I'm starting to become distant, and or my loved ones are starting to become distant. I need to spend more time with them. Pay attention to your relationships during this lunar cycle. If they're going great, look at what's going good and keep building that. Keep doing that. Follow through with that routine. If it's challenging, look at what needs to change. Be honest with yourself and make those changes. Keep in mind that, again, you are in a marathon. You're not in a sprint. You are in a marathon, really, for your entire life. And that's true for everybody. Although some people treat it like a sprint. But they get burned out, and then they have to chill. And until they learn to pace themselves, They're going to keep going on that cycle. So you're on a marathon, but also you're on a marathon with this Saturn transit. So again, you've already been through for the past 14 months this transit, and you have another 16 months to go. That's not to say that what you experience for the next 16 months will be the exact same as the previous 14 months. In fact, it's liable to get a lot easier and you're able to build a lot more effectively because you've already been through, like every transit of Capricorn or any natal energy of Capricorn, it's more likely to get good with time as long as you, I mean, it's inevitable to get good with time as long as you stay focused and keep working at it and don't give up and put in an honest effort, and everything will be well. So especially during this time, that's important. But again, this time is also about moderation, um, relaxation, play, socialization, and remind yourself that you don't have to accomplish everything at once. You have plenty of time to work with, not just with this Saturn and Capricorn transit until June 2020, but with your entire life. And if you do feel like you're getting burned out, look at the childhood. It's going to be important to do some psychoanalysis on yourself, and or get some help if some professional help if need be, and ask yourself, okay, what is it from childhood I was taught that is not quite right? Because otherwise my body wouldn't be burned out, my mind, my heart wouldn't get burned out, my social relationships wouldn't get burnt out. What do I need to change? Because again, work is great. It's part of our lives. It provides meaning for us. We're able to contribute. It's a beautiful thing. We can gain so many things from it, of course, financially, but also fulfillment and purpose and good feelings and social connections, etc. But it's one realm. Take care of yourselves, Capricorn. You're worth it. Seriously. I know that might have sounded cheesy, but it's true. Alright, Aquarius. So Aquarius, if you have not experienced your birthday already, you are going to over the next 2 weeks. Either way, happy birthday. And this is a really exciting birthday indeed, because to have Mercury in the same energy as your sun sign is always a really pleasant experience. And especially having a new moon in Aquarius too. This lunar cycle is going to be an interesting one because it starts off in Aquarius, but then everything shifts until Pisces. Venus does go into Aquarius March 1st. We'll talk about that in the next edition of New Moon News. And that has a lot of really beautiful things to offer you. But for this lunar cycle, there's a lot of good stuff to look at too. This is more wrapping up what's the beginning phases that have happened since the beginning of this Aquarius cycle. Excuse me. And what's really cool is this time period is a time period of planting seeds that are going to grow for you over the course of this next year until your next birthday. So if you haven't given much thought to it, or if you have, either way, it's good to be reflecting on what do you want to learn, how do you want to experiment with your mind, with this world, and how do you wish to contribute, and especially professionally, how do you want to move forward and contribute more to this world. This is a really important theme because when Saturn goes into Aquarius about 16 months from now, and it'll be there for about 2.5 years from there, that's when you're going to feel a lot of pressure because Saturn will be in Aquarius. And really that pressure can either be a really beautiful, good building thing, helping you to continue forward on the momentum you've already started during this time period, and as well as previous times, but it's never too late to get started. And I guess you could go the hard way and just go, fuck it, I'm just going to wait until Saturn goes into Aquarius, then I'm going to focus on my life purpose, then I'm going to focus on how I want to grow, then I'm going to focus on what do I want to do with my life and enjoy myself and also contribute and have meaningful relationships and do this and Or you can just go ahead and get started right away. Yay! I recommend getting started right away, especially with this lunar cycle. This is a beautiful time. It's giving you a great opportunity to grow your relationships consciously, to grow your mind consciously, and to move forward. When Mars goes into Taurus on the 14th, you might feel a little bit less motivated to do so, but the key with this is just to get started, to trick yourself, to do the fun stuff first, to do what interests you first, and then get to the hard stuff. Because otherwise Mars and Taurus can go, I'm just not going to do any of it, fuck it. So what's really cool about this energy of Mars and Taurus, especially as an Aquarius, again, it is once you get started, it's like a snowball. It's like it starts off small and then it gets bigger and then it gets bigger and the momentum just carries. You'll be able to accomplish incredible things during this lunar cycle as long as you get started. So that's good to keep in mind. Until February 14th, it will be easy to get stuff started, but ironically, it will be hard to follow through. So it's kind of on the flip side there. But for this lunar cycle, largely it's about the long term. What do I want to accomplish during this lunar cycle? It's good to stay on the focus on the day. It's good to stay focused on the here and now, but also use your Aquarian gifts for the future. What do I want to accomplish over the course of this next year? Or this next month, this next season, this next year, the next 2.5 years, the next. I mean, you can extrapolate from there, but it's really good to kind of really focus on the next 2.5 years. And of course, it's important to focus on every single moment and to be present, of course. But this lunar cycle does give you a lot of really good opportunities to plant seeds that are going to give you long-term fruit. So the more that you actually put those ideas and those thoughts into practice, into practical reality, the better. And that can be the challenging for us air signs, because we intellect so easily, we ideate so easily, we have all sorts of ideas, but it really comes down to the meaning in life is equally proportionate, whatever, proportional to what we actually do with those ideas. Mm. Mm. Yes. Get started. That's the key. And then you'll have a really beautiful lunar cycle, and that'll build up for good lunar cycles into the future. And last but certainly not least, Pisces. Pisces, this is a nice time. This is a lot more of a supportive time than you've experienced this past lunar cycle, with Venus in Sagittarius, Mars in Aries, a lot of air energy. It's not to say these energies are bad in any sense, or nor is it to say that these energies are bad for you. But it's nice when Venus is in an earth sign because you can more easily connect with others and know their true intentions and feel a stronger bond. And it's not quite as fleeting as Venus and Sagittarius can tend to be, and it's not quite as wild. And it's nice to have the wild time, but it's also nice to have the cool, chill, relaxed time. So Venus going into Capricorn is really beneficial during this lunar cycle. Mars going into Taurus will help you to finally make up your mind and go, okay, no, this is what I want to do. This is the direction I want to go in. And the key is to get started. Just get started. Trick yourself. Do the fun stuff first, and you'll go, oh, wow, I didn't even realize I've been working for the past 10 hours. Of course, also we want to make sure we do moderation. We don't want to burn ourselves out. We want to be able to go at a slow but steady pace, and that's how we're going to accomplish a lot during this time, especially for you as a Pisces. So, yeah, that's really important, especially with Neptune and Pisces. You want to be in tune with every part of your body, and every part of your entire makeup. You want to listen to your heart, you want to listen to your mind, you want to listen to your body, you want to listen to your soul, and sleep when it's time to sleep. Eat when it's time to eat. Stay structured. That's going to be really helpful for you during this time, and that will allow you to make the most of the beautiful opportunities that this lunar cycle has to offer you. So the sun goes into Pisces. It's going to be your birthday during this lunar cycle, or at least most likely. A lot of Pisces will experience it in the next lunar cycle. We'll cover that in the next edition of New Moon News here on YouTube. But you have Mercury going into Pisces, so communications will be a lot easier for you. You're going to be able to understand where other people are coming from a lot more effectively, and vice versa. And we're moving from a realm of thought into a realm of feeling. So the first 2 weeks of this lunar cycle, we still do have a lot of Aquarius energy. But again, Mercury goes into Pisces pretty quickly on the 10th of February. And even that will shift things into a more emotional range of experiences here on Earth. But especially when the sun goes into Pisces on right before the full moon on the 18th, then the entire world will be experiencing, at least partially, from what you experience. Of course, nobody could ever fully experience what you experience as an individual, and that's true for all of us, but especially as a Pisces, being so mystical and so attuned to, you're having your antenna connecting to the outer realms of our solar system, being that Neptune is one of your ruling planets in the farthest, or rather one of the farthest astronomical bodies that influence us here on Earth. But it is going to be really cool to see the rest of the world kind of tuning in with you. And I think you'll find that you're going to be guiding a lot of individuals during this lunar cycle to heal, to understand, to be able to see what you see. And to, it's going to be a nice time of building solid connections in your social life that are both near and dear to you, that are professionally helpful, and also spiritually helpful for just being there for those around you. Now, of course, it's also important to make sure you're there for yourself first and foremost. You don't want to lose yourself giving to others. That's probably the biggest challenge during this time, is focusing so much on others that you don't take care of yourself. We have to focus on ourselves first, and then we can heal others. Otherwise, we won't have the energy to help others. Plus, other people won't learn their own lessons. That's something else to keep in mind. Other people are the heroes in their own journey. They must take care of themselves. We're not supposed to martyr ourselves for anybody. Now we can help, we can be selfless, and that's beautiful. That's good. But again, everybody's in connection with the universe, with God. So you don't have to sacrifice. Yeah, and the last message is actually pretty much going along those lines, is you don't have to sacrifice your well-being for other people's well-beings. So that's important to keep in mind. I feel like there's one last message for you, Pisces. With the first part of this year, you've experienced a lot of transformation, a lot of clearing up of what it is you want to do, but it's also been a little bit confusing. Maybe not confusing so much as just waiting for the right time to be able to actually get things put into motion. So from February 14th onwards, it's going to be a lot more effective to go, okay, this is what I want to do, and I'm doing it. So that concludes this edition of New Moon News. I hope it's helpful. I hope it serves you well. And as always, infinite love to you, my friends. Namaste. As always, I'm offering readings. Go to the About section of this video for a link to the readings I offer. And as always, thank you to my Patreon patrons. I very much appreciate your help. And for as little as $2 a month, you can influence the videos I make. I'm making all sorts of videos, and I'm open to suggestions. So if you want, how do I know that he likes me with Mars and Aquarius? If you help me with Patreon, I will help you by making that video. So I'm always happy with suggestions. That I find that they really are helpful for making me motivated to do videos. So please, I would very much appreciate, if you appreciate this channel, for you to be a part of it and to help me to continue to make videos and to give me ideas. And in return, I will give you all the insights I could possibly offer. Thank you. So the link for that is also in the About section.